All right, let's talk about that feeling, that sinking feeling when you know something is broken in your system, but it's like a total black box. You can't see inside to figure out why. Well, today we're going to crack that box wide open. We're diving into a super important concept for anyone in tech right now, observability. Let's do this.
You know, our apps today, they're not these neat, simple monoliths anymore, not at all. They're these massive, sprawling webs of microservices, containers, all this cloud stuff. And while that's super powerful, it comes with a price. And that price is a growing gap between what our systems are actually doing and what we can possibly understand about them. That's the core problem we're tackling here.
So yeah, it's like we're all trying to navigate this crazy, complex maze. When something goes wrong in there, finding the root cause, man, it can feel just about impossible. So let's dig into why everything got so complicated.
This is really the question that keeps us all up at night, right? You get a ticket, a user is seeing some weird bug, or maybe performance just dips and there's no obvious reason. A service just fails in a way you've never ever seen before. These aren't simple fixes, they're total mysteries, born right out of that complexity we were just talking about.
And here's the nuts and bolts of why it's so tough. I mean, think about it. In these distributed systems, you've got maybe dozens, sometimes hundreds, of different services all chattering with each other. A single click from a user can set off a chain reaction that bounces between all of them. So when something breaks, is it service A, service B, or is it some weird, subtle interaction between the two that only happens on a Tuesday? Pinpointing that one thing, that's the real mountain to climb.
Okay, so how have we tried to deal with this mess in the past? Well, for a long time, the answer was pretty simple. Monitoring. This has been the traditional go-to way of keeping tabs on our systems for years.
And what is monitoring, really? Well, at its core, it's all about tracking the things you already know are important. You basically sit down and decide ahead of time, okay, I need to watch CPU usage, I need to watch memory, and definitely database response time. You collect just that data, slap it on a dashboard, and set up an alert for when a number goes red.
This is honestly the perfect analogy for it. Think about it. Monitoring is just like your car's check engine light. It lights up, and you know that something is wrong. Great. But is it the engine? The exhaust? Did you just forget to tighten the gas cap? The light doesn't tell you why. It only tells you the what, and you're left completely guessing about the rest.
And this is where everything changes. If monitoring is stuck just telling you what happened, observability is a whole new game. It's all about finally being able to ask, why? This is the evolutionary leap we've been needing to actually handle today's complex systems.
Now, it's super important to get this. Observability is not just monitoring 2.0. It's a completely different mindset. It's about building your system in a way that lets you explore it, to ask it questions from the outside. It's built on a fundamental truth. You cannot possibly predict every single way your system is going to fail. So it gives you the tools to investigate those totally unexpected problems, the unknown unknowns, when they inevitably pop up.
Okay, so let's put these two head to head. Monitoring is great for answering the questions you already know to ask, right? Like, hey, is the CPU over 85%? It's a simple yes or no. But observability, that lets you ask brand new questions on the fly, questions you never could have dreamed up beforehand. Things like, why are users in Germany seeing slow load times, but only if they're on an Android device and only between 2 and 4 p.m.? That's a question monitoring could never, ever answer.
So let's go back to that car. If monitoring is just the check engine light, then observability is the full-blown diagnostic toolkit the mechanic plugs in. You know, the one that sees everything, every sensor, every value, every interaction between the parts. It lets you go from just knowing something's wrong to truly understanding the why. And that, right there, is the whole ballgame.
So you're probably wondering, how does this actually work in practice? What gives a system this amazing power? Well, it all comes down to 3 core components, what we often call the 3 pillars of observability.
All right, let's break them down. First up, you have logs. Think of these as a super detailed diary of every single thing that happens in your system, with a timestamp. Then you have metrics. These are your numbers, your quantitative data, things like request counts, error rates, stuff you can graph over time. And finally, and this one is a real game changer, you have traces. A trace literally follows one single user request on its entire journey through your whole maze of services. It shows you exactly where it went and how long each step took. Each one gives you a different piece of the puzzle. But here's the magic. It's not about using just one of these. It's about how they work together. When you combine logs, metrics, and traces, that's when you get the complete picture. You can collect all that rich data, analyze it together, and turn what would just be a sea of noise into actual, actionable insights. That's how you fix things faster and ultimately build way better software.
Okay, so we know what it is and how it works, but what's the real-world impact here? What does this mean for a team or a business? Because, believe me, it's about so much more than just squashing bugs faster. It's about changing the entire way you operate.
And the benefits you see right away are massive. We're talking about troubleshooting time going from days to minutes. Seriously, downtime gets slashed. And because you have this incredibly deep understanding of your system, you can start fine-tuning and optimizing its performance, which means a way better experience for your actual users.
Look, solving problems fast is awesome, no question. But here's where it gets really exciting. What if you could see problems coming and stop them before they ever even happen? Now that is the real game changer. It's about shifting from being reactive to being truly proactive.
And believe me, this field is moving at lightning speed to make that a reality. Right now, the big thing is full-stack observability, getting that complete view from the user's first click all the way down to the bare metal. But what's next? It's all about plugging in AI and machine learning to get those predictive powers. And down the road, we're talking about systems that can use these insights to automatically fix themselves. Wild stuff.
Yeah, AI is basically like a superpower for observability. It can process billions of data points in seconds, finding tiny patterns and correlations that a human engineer would just never, ever spot. This is what lets us leap from just making smarter decisions to actively predicting and anticipating issues way before a customer ever feels a thing.
When you boil it all down, everything we've talked about is driving towards one ultimate goal: getting a single, holistic view of your entire system. It's about breaking down those walls, the silos between teams, between different technologies, and creating one single source of truth for the health of your entire application.
So I want to leave you with this one thought. Think about your own systems right now. Is your system just telling you what you've pre-programmed it to tell you? Or can you walk up to it during a crisis, when that next totally unpredictable failure hits, and ask it anything? Because the answer to that question, that's the difference between just monitoring and achieving true observability. Thanks for tuning in.